Right, here we go. 2 Kings. Let's do this. Greetings, fellow space travelers, BionicDance here. A while back I was trying to read and critique my way through the Bible, but I kept getting stuck on 2 Kings. My gosh, is that shit boring. And really long. The last video is 3.5 years ago, and I think I'm ready to give it another try. So without any further ado, 2 Kings. So first things first, it seems that Moab rebels against Israel. At first I thought Moab was a guy, but no, it turns out to be a place. Now the king of Israel is some dude named Ahaziah, who's the son of Jezebel and Ahab. And apparently he falls through some sort of grate in his upper chamber and gets sick. It doesn't really explain how or why, that just happens. See, it says he was sick, that he got some sort of disease. It's not like the fall through this lattice work broke his neck or anything. So Ahaziah sends out messengers to inquire of Beelzebub, the god of Ekron, which sounds like a gas station, whether or not he'll be getting better of this sickness. So God sends an angel down to Elijah to pass on a message to this Ahaziah guy that, nope, you're worshiping the wrong god, so you're gonna die. Aww. So Ahaziah wants to know where his messengers got this news, and they tell him, well, it was some hairy dude wearing a leather girdle. I have no idea why he took that seriously. So the language is a little unclear, but from what I get, it sounds like Ahaziah sent a captain of the guard and 50 men up to Elijah saying, hey, come to the city with us, will you? We need your help. And Elijah says, no. I'm a man of God, and I'm going to roast you all with fire from the sky. And boom, up they go in flames. Well, not satisfied with this, Ahaziah sends another captain and another 50 guys to try and bring Elijah to the city, and he roasts them with sky fire too. Well, apparently being one to throw good money after bad, Ahaziah sends yet a third captain and a third set of 50 men up to Elijah to bring him to the city. But this captain, apparently with one of those clue things we've all been reading about, bends his knee to Elijah and says, please don't kill me, please don't kill me. And so God is all, Elijah, I like my people humble, and this dude, he just humiliated the shit out of himself, so go down into the city, it's okay, don't be afraid or nothing. So Elijah goes down to King Ahaziah and basically tells him, sorry, you worship the devil and you're gonna die. Bye-bye. And so the guy croaks. And the successor to the throne is some guy named Jehoram, son of Jehoshaphat, who, I guess, jumps. Now it gets really fuzzy, because on the one hand it sounds like God is going to be taking Elijah up to heaven in a whirlwind, but instead he and Elisha take a road trip to Bethel. And then it gets really confusing. There's something in there about I'm going to chop a guy's head off. No, I won't, because the Lord said not to. Hey, let's go to Jericho. Whatever. And then in Jericho, essentially the same thing happens. A bunch of prophets show up and say, hey, we're going to chop your master's head off. And Elijah's all, nah, we're going to go to Jordan instead. Now Elijah pulls a Noah and parts what I assume is the river Jordan so that he and Elisha can walk across it without getting their tootsies wet. Now, if I'm reading this right, what's going on here is that Elijah is Elisha's master, and apparently Elijah is going to be going up to heaven soon, so I guess God's going to kill him, I don't know. And he asks Elisha, what would you like before I go up into heaven? And Elisha's like, I want twice the spirit you've got. And Elijah's all, that's kind of a difficult thing, I'll see what I can do. Incidentally, what does it mean to have twice the spirit anyway? I'm going to be a doubly powerful Jedi Knight? Why, you can smite people with both your hands, not just this one. And then a bunch of chariots of fire showed up. And Elijah gets scooped up into heaven. So Elisha takes over from Elijah, and he goes to see the folks of Jericho who start bowing before him. Incidentally, we're almost 4.5 minutes in, and that's only the first page of 20. Do you begin to see why I didn't really want to keep doing this shit? So the Jerichoanites say to Elisha, hey, can we send 50 guys to go looking for Elijah? Because I guess they didn't really want to be serving under Elisha? I don't know. And Elisha's like, no, don't send them. Don't send them. But they send them anyway, and they don't find Elijah, so they come back, and Elisha's all, didn't I tell you not to send them? And then the Jerichoish are like, we like it here. It's a great place to live, except for the part where there's no water and the crops won't grow. And Elisha's like, okay, I'll call upon God to use this salt, and he'll somehow make the waters come back. And he did, and yay, happy, happy, joy, joy. And now this is the part I'm sure we've all heard, where Elisha's walking through the city and 40 kids point at him going, ha ha, you're bald. And his ego being so very fragile, he sends 2 she-bears down to rip these 40 kids to shreds. Real nice guy, eh? And the weird part is, that's the end of the chapter. There's nothing about the motivations of the children. There's nothing like repercussions. Oh my gosh, the parents screaming over their slaughtered kids. Nothing. It's just this horror story that comes out of nowhere. So now we've got Jehoram, I don't know, however you pronounce it, and he's ruling over Israel for 12 years and making the whole country sin, apparently, but not sinning the way his dad did. He puts away this image of Baal, but nevertheless, he's a bad, bad man. So now we've got this dude, Elisha, king of Moab, and he's apparently a sheep master, which is probably a lot less filthy than it sounds, and he gives to the king of Israel, which I'm assuming is Jehoram, however the frick you pronounce that, he gives him 100,000 lambs and 100,000 rams with the wool. Now, how anyone has that many sheep? One guy? I mean, okay, he's a king, but still. However, once Ahab died, Elisha, king of Moab, decides to rebel against Israel, as it said in the first chapter. Now Jehoram, king of Israel, doesn't much care for being attacked. Not really. Who would? And so he goes to the king of Judah, Jehoshaphat, who, I guess, jumps, and says, hey, I could use an alliance. Would you like an alliance? I'd like an alliance. And jumping Jehoshaphat says, absolutely, sure, why not? Treat my army like it's your army. Let's kick butt together. And along the way, they recruit the king of Edom, who they don't actually give a name to in here, apparently. So apparently these 3 kings are so stupid that none of them think to bring a canteen with them, and they can't find any water just lying around, but apparently a servant had some and gave it to them. Okay. But apparently it wasn't the servant's water. That was apparently given to him by Elisha. So when the kings asked, where'd you get this? The dude said, oh yeah, it was that prophet guy. So it gets a little fuzzy here, but it seems that the 3 kings go down to Elijah to ask for a little advice, and Elijah's like, what are you doing here talking to me? Go find the prophets of your mom and dad. So jumping Jehoshaphat's all, but if you don't help us, Moab will destroy us all. And Elisha's like, well, bring me a minstrel and I'll have him play. And it sounds like the minstrel sings God's words like he's channeling God through him, saying, okay, we'll fill a valley full of water and you'll have cattle, and don't worry, you'll be fully prepared to kick Moab's ass. The more of this crap I read, the more I'm thinking, this is what passed for storytelling back in the day? I'd almost rather watch a Michael Bay movie. Almost. Now this is the part where the Moabites go full retard, because they see the water that appeared overnight thanks to God, and for some reason the water's red as blood, and they go, oh, that is blood. Clearly the 3 kings have been slain. Let's go out and bask on the battlefield, despite there having been no battle whatsoever. And when they get there, the 3 kings' men rise up out of the ground, or at least it says they go up, which they use a lot to mean various different things. Sometimes it just means to go. But regardless, they pop up and slaughter the Moabites, because they were so stupid they just went out there and... Sounds kind of Trojan horsey, doesn't it? And this is the part where the 3 kings get to have their fun, because like a bunch of drunken frat boys, they go around smiting the heck out of everything. So the king of Moab, thinking the battle's lost, decides, what the heck, blaze of glory, and starts running towards them with 700 men and gets really, really defeated. So then he takes his oldest son, has him burned as an offering, and everyone's like, okay, game over, we're leaving. And so now, out of the blue, some woman says to Elisha, your Qui-Gon Jinn is dead. Would you play Obi-Wan to my 2 sons? And so Elisha's like, well, I could. What do you give me if I do? And the mom's all, I'm strapped, yo. I got nothing. At least, nothing except this pot of oil anyway. Seems like something odd to be the only thing left in the house, but... hey, it's the Bible. Everything's odd in this book. So Elisha tells her to go out and borrow every jar she can, then close the door and start pouring the oil into the jars. Now it doesn't actually say it, but I can only assume that God kept refilling the oil pot because she fills every jar, almost. And then when they're done being filled, Elisha says, go out and sell the oil, pay your debt, and you and your sons get to live happily ever after. Now, I can only assume that the mom is disappointed because it sounded for all the world like she wanted her sons to be trained as prophets. But maybe the language is unclear like it is in so much of the Bible, and she was really trying to sell her sons into slavery, which kind of makes her a bit of a cunt. So now the mom goes to her husband and tells him that they should build an addition onto the house so they can put Elisha up with room and board. So now Elisha says to Gehazi, a servant of his who's never been mentioned before, to bring to him the Shunammite. Are they in Shunam? I don't know, but it turns out to be the mom, and she comes walking over to say, what do you want? And Elisha tells her that she's been very, very nice for putting him up, and is there anything he can do for her? And for some reason, Gehazi answers for her and says she's got no kids and her husband is really old, which is weird because I thought she had 2 sons. Maybe it's not the mom from before?
Not the mama, not the mama.
So Elisha says to her, hey, you're gonna have a kid. And she's like, no, don't lie to me. But she has a kid. And then the kid grows up, goes out to his dad who's working in the field, and bitches about a massive headache.
It might be a tumor.
It's not a tumor.
So they carry him to his mom, and the kid dies. The Lord giveth, the Lord taketh away. So she saddles a donkey and goes riding off to Carmel to bitch at Elisha, ask him what the hell's up. But weirdly, when she gets there and Elisha asks, hey, how you doing? She says, everything's just ducky. But then, having lulled him into a false sense of security, she tackles him from behind, and Gehazi pulls her off, and Elisha's all, nah, I understand why she's grouchy, let her go. And she says to Elijah, didn't I ask you for a son? Didn't I tell you not to lie to me? Look at what you did. So Elisha, apparently not one to do his own dirty work, sends Gehazi out with what I assume is a magical staff and tells him, put this stick on the kid's head. And Gehazi goes and does it, but then he has to come back and say, sorry boss, it didn't work. So Elisha's like, fine, I'll do it myself. And he goes to the kid's house, goes into the kid's room, closes the door, gives him some holy mouth to mouth, I'm not even kidding, and the kid wakes up, sneezes 7 times, and hey, he's alive. So now Elisha goes to this place called Gilgal, where it seems they're not able to grow crops or something, so he tells his servant to go out and make some stew for all the people. So the villagers try to eat it, but they're like, oh man, this shit's vile, what did you do? And Elisha's like, nah, it's fine. Gehazi, go get some meal and throw it into the stew. These guys will just yum it up. And then some man of God from Baal Shalisha shows up and goes, I got breadsticks, and they had a nice meal. And that's the end of 2 Kings chapter 4 of 24. This video is already more than 10 minutes long. I'm gonna do it in multiple parts. So until next time, fellow space travelers, this is BionicDance saying don't run on automatic. Instead, please think.
So, who wants cake? You have to rate first.